Hello, everybody. What's up? Dennis Allen here. Another really cool podcast for you today. Today's podcast is coming to you from Living Free in Tennessee with Nicole Sauce. Nicole Awesome Sauce, as some people call her. She did the same thing I did. Kind of quit the corporate world. She had her own nonprofit, corporate world, job, business, whatever you want to call it. And it didn't make her happy. So now she's roasting coffee in the middle of Tennessee and has a really great life. So enjoy the conversation.
So welcome to the show, Dennis.
Thank you, Nicole. Excited to be here.
So I'm really excited to have you on the show, and I don't want you to reveal too much as a result of this question, but why don't you tell us who is Dennis Allen? Why do you have two last names? And what are you doing to, right now, to further freedom in your life?
Wow, so I go by the tagline of Dennis Allen City Boy Homesteader. Pretty much grew up in the north part of Jersey, New York City career kind of thing. Wasn't happy with anything, so I kind of uprooted the walk to freedom to central Pennsylvania. And I am just enjoying life, trying to hustle as much as I can on diversifying my income and listening to shows like yours and others to try to help me along my way. Because, the tagline City Boy Homesteader says pretty much, I don't know how to homestead. So I'm here trying to get help from people, trying to spread the love, inspire people, maybe get the heck out of the cities and live a better life.
Okay, so you said you grew up in New Jersey.
Elizabeth, New Jersey.
You weren't happy. What was your childhood like in New Jersey as an unhappy little kid?
We were poor. I usually my neighbors would give me a penny or two for when we would run to the store for something. Single mom, yeah, kind of got a stepdad when I was a little older, which was kind of like an old, Irish kind of gang member. So learned how to fight my way through the streets of Elizabeth. Getting in trouble, getting locked up, and for a lot of stupid things. And my life was gonna probably be either dead or jail eventually. The older I got. Luckily, I got my ex-girlfriend pregnant, and I was gonna have a kid. And I think that's what really fueled me to start living, looking for a new life. I was going to, look into things like being a cop, because most of the criminals in Elizabeth back then were becoming cops, ironically. But that was one of my avenues, and I was just trying to do something. I was really close to just, buying an illegal gun and robbing a liquor store. I mean, I probably wouldn't have the heart to go through with that, but, I've definitely done some illegal things, but never really hurt anybody, but...
Well, I think it's really cool that you're willing to admit that, honestly, because a lot of people do illegal things and don't talk about it when they're teenagers, kind of going through that rough transition that some of us have, or they have the thought. Like when I was a kid, or like a teenager, I'd be sitting in the car, we'd be driving on the freeway, and I'd be like, I could just open the store and jump out right now. And I think we all have those thoughts, but we don't talk openly about how that happens. And, it's what you do after you have that thought that makes the difference in the trajectory of your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when my ex-girlfriend, again, she was an ex when she got pregnant, so it made things even worse. When I found out about this, I mean, kids, was the last thing on my mind. I couldn't take care of myself. So what am I going to do with a brand new child in this world? And like you said, jumping out of the door of a moving car. I mean, there were times when I was driving down the highway. I'm just thinking, smashed a car, or who knows? Your mind goes into so many different places, and the mind's really a tricky part of your body. It helps you out in some ways and harms you in others. It lets things like fear take over and control you, and what you see on marketing, and it's hard to beat the mind sometimes.
So would you say that your ex-girlfriend accidentally getting pregnant was the turning point in your life for you to decide, you know what, I want something better?
Absolutely. The only other motivation in my life at the time was just going out, picking up girls, and that was pretty much it. You know, getting into fights and causing trouble. So yeah, my daughter was definitely the turning point in my life. I'm writing a book now, and you know that is the more I'm thinking about my past and looking at, you know, when did I change, when did I start, you know, really giving a crap, you know, was when my daughter was going to be born, or born actually.
Mm, probably a big moment for you.
Yeah, scary moment. I mean, I will admit I'm not like, you know, super dad of the year. I wasn't there for much of her beginning of her growing up, you know.
Yeah.
Big part of my life now. That's why I live in Pennsylvania, so I could stay 3 to 4 hours from her. I almost picked. I'm wearing a Cuerda, Puerto Rico shirt right now. It's a little island off of Puerto Rico. I go there a lot. I used to go there a lot. And that could have been it too, but my daughter was the reason why I stuck here and I didn't go to Texas or Tennessee or, you know, any one of those more free states. You know, Pennsylvania's great. It's not, you know, the most free, but it's a whole lot better than Jersey City, New Jersey. Woo!
I've been there.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
That's okay. I mean, I was a tourist. It was fine.
Yeah, it's a fun place to visit.
So then I imagine that coming out of high school, got somebody pregnant, you probably didn't have a lot of extra money for college, did you?
Well, I dropped out of high school at senior year.
Oh,
Yeah.
better.
So I'm the whole high school dropout kind of guy.
So
I
you
always
were like exactly what her parents wanted for her when she got pregnant, right?
Oh yeah, no, but no. Well, yeah, we weren't even dating together, so her parents are just like, at least come and see the baby.
Yeah.
Which I did. I mean, that's why I'm in her life, because I did make the right decision, even though I didn't want to. But you know, it's the only decision I really had. Yeah, dropped out of high school. You know, D and F student my whole work career in government school career. Always pulled it at the last minute. You know, if I had to get an A on a test at, you know, fourth quarter or whatever, I would usually do it just enough to skid by. You know, they want to pass kids. They don't want to flunk them. My senior year, I didn't go pretty much ever, so I was going to have to repeat that one, so I decided to drop out. I tried college. You know, I think I'm a smart kid. You know, I learned really well. My grandfather taught me a lot. My father taught me a lot. My stepfather. So that's the way I learned. I learned from YouTube, you know, people like you, podcasts, anything, you know, that I could absorb information. That's how I kind of kicked ass in the corporate world. College, you know, I went back for like a semester when, you know, after my daughter was born, and I was like, I gotta do something. And, you know, my mother in society says, you gotta go to school. If you don't go to school, you know, you're gonna be a bum digging dishes. Which ironically now I am kind of semi-retired and I dig dishes for fun and trying to build a homestead. So what was wrong with the ditch digging?
I roast coffee.
Yeah.
Most intellectual pursuit you could ever have, right? After I got all those degrees and then boom.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you know, government school failed me, and you know, society kind of failed me. But luckily, I, you know, decided to do it my own way, and it worked.
And what was that? So I understand that you figured out how to navigate the corporate world without a college degree. What year did you start doing that?
My daughter was born in 2000, so a little after 2000. I was going to be a cop.
By the way, guys, they were still saying you have to have a bachelor's to be a secretary and answer the phone.
Oh, like, yeah, well, that was one of
right?
the... Yeah, I couldn't... I wanted... My buddy was working for Verizon Wireless, big cell phone company. I mean, I guess everybody knows it now. It was, you know, it was Bell Atlantic Mobile. It was a small company back then. And he got me in the door, and he said, you know, the only way to get you in is as a greeter, and then maybe you could, you know, prove yourself, because you do need a high school... you need a high school and college diploma. So I went into, you know, corporate America as a retail greeter. You know, hi, welcome to Verizon. You know, what brings you in today? Oh, your phone's smashed. Go that way. Oh, you want to buy a new phone? Go that way. And I picked that up, and I just learned so much from other people. I was going in there as a clean slate. If I went to college and I went to, Bob's class, and Bob said, when you sell, you have to do this. And so I just went in there, ignorant of what I'm doing, and I saw like, oh, Vinny's doing this and it works, and Joe does this and it doesn't work, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what Vinny does. And I slowly became one of the top sales reps in Verizon Wireless. They put me into a brand new like flagship store in New York City. Even as I was temping, I was there for like, almost a year temping, making $8 an hour, where the other guys are making like 6 figures. Like, they bought me lunch every day, that's for sure, and took me out drinking a lot because I'd give them my deals. But I kind of mastered that. I went in there and became top sales rep. HR turned me down, actually. I have some of the most important people in Verizon saying, oh, this guy's so great. I go to HR, and they were like, oh, it's just gonna just talk to him. As long as you don't spit on him, you'll get hired. They still didn't want to hire me because I'm not a good fit for the company. He doesn't have a diploma. He doesn't have all his I's are not dotted and his T's and some of them weren't crossed. So they turned me down, but luckily they fought for me and I got in, and I kind of rocked the world. I started selling to all the celebrities and anybody too important in New York City to go into a store. They'd have my phone number.
So did you figure out, hey, if I carve out this niche with these people who don't want to be with the peons, I can make even more money? Is that how you did that?
No, I can't. I'm not going to take the credit for that. I did work into that. And again, this is still party Dennis. Now I'm, making 6 figures. I'm hanging out with, the whole cast and crew of Sex and the City and just partying. Everywhere I went for free, beer free, booze free, going places was free, living the celebrity lifestyle as a year ago I was about to rob a liquor store, possibly, so here I am in a whole new world. And I did, I made a lot more money because, I was a great sales rep, and having just people call me that were important. Oh yeah, I need 10 lines, it definitely helped my career. That's not why I did it. It was kind of, it's ironic. The person that did it for the main company, she actually just contacted me recently because she saw my LinkedIn. I'm networking all kind of avenues. Yeah. That I'm selling ice cream, and she doesn't work for Verizon anymore. But hey, they're starting a food company, and she reached out to me. It's like, whoa, So who knows? You just build good relationships with people. The reason why she picked me because I was, very honest, and I was a hustler, and I would, whatever she needed. So she knew that that's what, it took to get done what she wanted to do. So made my job a lot more fun.
That's cool. I'm going to ask you what 2 or 3 characteristics you think allowed you to figure that out in such a short period of time, because it sounds like you came in, everybody's like, dude, you can't do this. And you're like, screw you, man, I'm going to do this. Right. And then you carved out a path that allowed you to be successful. The 3 things, it could just be one thing. What made you able to hustle and get that done when other people couldn't? What about you is different, do you think?
Wow, that's a big one. I guess my personality, I don't know. I was kind of always the class clown. I'm 6 foot tall now, skinny, but, I could throw down. But my whole life until like junior year, I was short. I was 4'11" freshman year in high school, and I'm not going to say I have a Napoleon complex, because if somebody ever picked on me, I showed them what, had to be done.
Isn't that a Napoleon complex?
No, I think Napoleon is when you're short and you have to act like a tough guy and yell and scream and, I'll tell my mom, that kind of thing. If you are short and someone messes with you and you just end up beating them up because they pushed you or something, I didn't go around saying I was tough or anything,
No, you didn't go pick fights.
Right. Well, when I was older and like 6 foot and, then I knew I could really fight. Yeah, unfortunately I did. And I went to places that everybody there, pretty much wanted to fight. So,
Yeah. So back to the question though, is it that it was kind of weird growing up and you just developed the screw it, I'm getting over anything in front of me mentality, or what do you think?
Wow. That's a really good one. I guess just my personality, being, the class clown, and always failing and never wanting to really be like the dumb kid because I knew I was smart. I'd have the friends that were getting A's in class. I'm like, we're the same freaking person. You could just, memorize how to spell Mississippi, or that, George Washington crossed the Delaware at whatever year. So I always looked for other ways to learning. Like my grandfather, I said he was a very big inspiration. So just being able to know my limitations, understand that I don't know what I'm doing, and understand that there's a way or somebody that knows how to do it. And if you just learn from that person, not read his book, but just, if I could shadow him or, learn from another way, I think that is what really helped me succeed in becoming who I was. And the motivation, it was, I didn't want to be, a bum anymore. I had a daughter, and so I think, those two things were very big reasons why I did it.
So if you look like a jerk or stupid in front of people, does it hurt your heart, or do you not care?
No. I don't care. My YouTube.
So when you say class clown, what you're saying, it's because I figured out that I don't care what other people think of me, and I had the motivation of a daughter, and I wanted to go to a better place, so I did it. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want to, be picked on or anything like that, and I knew fighting even I could beat up people, that wasn't the answer, because, whenever I beat somebody up, I usually got in trouble, and then, it didn't really resolve in much, but,
Cool. So, when you go from rags to riches, suddenly you have this thing you've never had before, money, and a lot of people were not taught how to handle money. Oops, I just dropped something, sorry. I'm sure you heard that on the mic. So, did you go through a time where you were just like burning, and then change to figure out, wait, if I want to be prosperous, I need to stop these habits?
Yes, absolutely. I don't want to say that I really corrected it, because now I own a coffee shop and I run it. I'm just, I'm in sales. Even in my corporate world, even if I was just a general manager of, one of the stores, I would always have an operations manager, an assistant manager. They did the paperwork and they did things like that. I was taught enough, again, by my grandfather about money and his whole thing. I mean, he didn't teach me much, and like how to do bookkeeping or anything like that, but he always said save, buy a house, best investment, things like that. So I did that. I went from making, $15 an hour to making six figures literally in a matter of, not even a year. And it was easy for me to start banking money. I had the 401k, which they matched, 6%, 100% of 6%. So, I dumped money into there. And I kind of just hustled to buy a house. When I first bought my first real estate, it was 2004, 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And this is when they were, if you had a pulse, here's a mortgage, you know?
I totally got a couple of those mortgages.
So, it was a great stepping
stone.
stone.
On any of them.
Yeah, neither did I. That's kind of what got me into the door. I just hustled on, the guy that was getting me a mortgage, he was like, hey, I need this paperwork, and I don't know if you even have it, but if you could kind of maybe Photoshop it or get it, that'd be great. Yeah, I know Photoshop, I was doing a little illegal things with Photoshop back in the day too, so I was pretty good at it. So yeah, I definitely hustled to do that. I'm learning now to manage money. Making good money, my whole bookkeeping method was have enough in the bank. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
You have enough in the bank.
I will look at my balance every day. Is it above zero? Sweet.
Yeah. And once it gets, a little higher, like, I know I'm not going to spend 10 grand, so I don't have anything to worry about. I wasn't.
Yeah. So obviously now you're saying you're getting better about that.
Yeah, I'm much better.
Differently now.
Well, listening to podcasts about money and things like that, especially when you're making money, then you have real estate and you're like, whoa, I had always had goals in life, and to be a millionaire at 40 was one of my goals. And I don't know if I actually achieved it or not. I'm 40, yeah, 40. I don't know if I achieved it, but you know, I don't know what the, I don't know what the definition of a millionaire is, but you know, I had, you know, with my savings and, you know, this property worth this much, and especially when I sold it, I was like, all right, yeah, you know, I had $1 million in, you know, investment. So I definitely changed, you know, buying things like Bitcoin and other, you know, gold, silver. You know, you listen to guys like Jack that always talk about 10% of your net wealth. And so every now and then, if I had extra money, I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. I, you know, I'm not I don't know enough to invest in the stock market, which luckily, you know, was kind of a foolish thing. Would have been a foolish thing. But, you know, I understood that I had to do something with my money, and I don't want it just in the banking system. So I've done very successfully, but I mean, I could have done so much more if I knew what the heck I was doing.
Yeah, and so now you have a coffee shop and ice cream shop, correct?
And
like
a cafe, and a secondhand store and campsites, and I'm trying to diversify.
So do you ever sleep?
Yes, absolutely. I sleep very well. I sleep on a big, beautiful hill in the middle of the country on 30 acres under the stars, and I pee on my lawn every night. I sleep very well.
That's the thing with guys. They're like, I can pee on the lawn. I have made it.
Yeah, that's the sign of success. Yep. Yeah, I'm very happy.
So wait, you were in New York area working for Verizon, and now you're in Pennsylvania, but you're living in the country. I'm imagining there were some steps in between there.
Yes. So, I mean, I was always a city boy, and, you know, hanging out, you know, for years, you know, I was with Verizon for almost 15 years, and most of my career I was hanging out with celebrities, you know, this party's tonight, this party's this, you got to go here. I mean, it was just...
Yeah, it's that rolling party.
It was like the perfect life, you know. It's like if you asked 17-year-old Dennis, what career do you want? I would have drawn that out, you know. Maybe subconsciously I did draw out my own career, you know. I'm very big into writing your own destiny and, you know, making shit happen. And so... I did write that. Oh man, I just lost train of thought.
Oh no, I was just asking, like, so did you have like a giant house when you were successful in air quotes, or what did you end up with?
I had a fancy condo. I had a 2-family house perched on the Palisades Cliff in Jersey City, overlooking the Hudson River and Lower Manhattan. Yeah, so I did make it. You know, I'm hanging out with celebrities, but none of that really made me happy, you know. So
do you know why it didn't make you happy?
It's a fake life. It's a false and phony life that I think the biggest thing people have, the biggest issue I think people have is they care more what people think about themselves than they care about themselves. So everything... How did you
realize that? Were you like sitting over coffee one morning and you're like, these people don't actually give a crap about me, or what was it?
I think it was, I went to LA one time, and it was just like LA is just like, wow, like you could just meet someone like, what kind of car do you drive? Like, wait, what? You don't even know my name, you know? So it's just that fake, you know, lifestyle. And I think that, you know, I went there when I was, you know, first got in Verizon, you know, I had making money, let's go to LA. Yeah. And, you know, it just really opened my eyes, and New York's a lot better than that, a lot better. But slowly I started seeing that, you know, this happiness, my mother was happy. And, you know, ironically, I don't want to say I lost my mother, she died, but I lost her as a mother doing this, because she wanted the corporate America Dennis. She wanted Dennis with the real estate. You know, oh, my son was at a party with Bill Clinton last night, you know, and that kind of lifestyle. And, you know, I had to give it up for my own happiness, and I lost a lot.
Like, was there just a moment where you're like, oops? Or, like, how did that really happen?
The oops part? No oops.
Yeah, when you realize, you know what? I don't want all this crap anymore, and I'm going to do something different. What'd you do to get there?
Well, so let me start off by saying the thing that got me into this was when I was going to buy that 2-family house. I wanted to buy more real estate, and I was looking for something with a backyard. My agent, I was like, I don't care what it is. You know, he knew what I wanted to do, but I need a backyard. I want a backyard. My mother We eventually got a house when I was like 16, 17-year-old, our own house, not living in apartments anymore. And it did have a little backyard. And we gardened in it. My grandfather, the biggest inspiration of my life, he was a farmer. He grew up as a farmer. He flew airplanes at like 14 to crop dust, in Massachusetts. So I always had that, I guess, in me. I didn't know it. I never, in maybe a year or two in the backyard of Elizabeth, digging holes. But so I found gardening and I wanted to garden. And so at this time in corporate America, I had a very easy corporate job, and I started Googling, and that's kind of how I found podcasts and YouTube channels. And I started researching best way to garden, and it led me down the permaculture rabbit hole. And so when I did get a house, I had a urban food forest in the backyard. I had chickens and ducks and ponds and beehives. I had it all. But I'm like, I'm still like, it's stuck. I have $1 million home, and I have 20 by 30 backyard, and it's toxic. There's chemicals and iglygicks in there, and
iglygicks.
It's just
is that a technical term?
Oh yeah, I looked that one up before the podcast.
It's a permaculture term guide.
Yeah. I feel like
on my podcast for the next 3 months, just so you know.
All right, good.
I don't want the iglygicks in that.
Yeah, no, leave them out. They're horrible. They don't taste good. They ache and
they're bad for your health.
Everything about them. So, and that's what I was fooled with, So, I came to a point, I dropped out of the work life. I had the 2-family. I was Airbnb, hustling, all different kind of hustles, Ubering, and before that, I was getting my bills down to like next to zero. Even making 6 figures, I got them down to nothing. This way, when I did quit my job, I was like, okay, no problem. My mortgages are paid, my bills are paid. I don't need to make a lot of money because I've been making a lot of money and there's no happiness. It's great to go on a vacation every month or two, but what good is that if you could be on vacation every day pretty much? And so I kind of just, I sold the condo. I found the perfect piece of land, south facing hill, 30 acres. And my goal was to slowly, go out there on the weekends, and that took about a month of that, and I just said, I'm selling everything. I'm getting the hell out of here. Yep. I mean, that's one of those jumps where it's not like an orchestrated jump. I was like, I'll tent out here. I bought an old Airstream. I'm, almost 4 or 5 years later, still living in it. Don't have a house, but I'm the happiest person out there. It's amazing. One of my YouTube videos, I was just crying for like 10 minutes because I was just so happy. My life is...
It's funny. So when I made my leap, I was driving to a trade show with a van full of stuff for a booth for the company I was running, right? The one I founded. It was a nonprofit. And I was listening to a podcast, and I realized during the show that every ounce of effort I'm pouring into this nonprofit is not making a difference in the world.
That's hard for a nonprofit too.
And now I have to go to a trade show and pretend like I give a care. And I cried for like 2 hours of that drive. I was by myself. I just bawled while I was driving. I was like, crap, I'm in my 40s and I made the wrong choice. And I came back, and within a year was doing what I'm doing now full time. That's
so awesome. Yeah, the fear.
So it's like an emotional thing when you've done what you're supposed to do to be quote unquote prosperous, and you're like, this sucks.
It sucks. Yeah, I mean, I wake up sometimes now and I'm just like in like a cold sweat. Like, do I have to go to work? Is there a meeting today? Like, do I have my appraisal due or something? And it's just like, oh, it's so nice not having to do with that. I have stresses at a coffee shop.
Make sure the coffee gets slung, right?
Right. Big deal, The people buying it or friends, they're great, cool people. If it's backed up a week or a day, or if you mess up their egg and cheese sandwich, they don't care. They come to my coffee shop for the experience. The food's great. We source super local. So even if it sucks, it's like, well, it's a local egg. Local eggs don't suck, but
sucky egg.
It's like whatever. The chicken had a bad day or something. Whatever. People are very understanding, so it's a lot more of a fun place to actually work in. The Airbnb I had in Jersey City, which was paying my mortgage after I quit. And my quitting was literally, I went to lunch and I didn't go back. And that happened a lot. I called my boss, oh, I'm not coming back in, and today. But I literally went to lunch and I did not go back. It wasn't the right way. I didn't give them 2 weeks notice. I mean, they had probably 2 months notice before they fired me. But I kind of did it the wrong way some parts, but it's what proved to be the happiness for me. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I gave a year's notice, and it was a really hard year, and then it was followed by a really hard year because I was working 2 jobs in essence for that last year. Mm-hmm. My first year sucked too because I didn't have the income.
Yeah.
And it's just been a slow build from there. Because I wasn't smart. I didn't have the big old 401k built up and all that wealth. I have real estate and rental properties. That's one of the things that allowed me to get through the year, was that I had income from those. But
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that first year sucked.
And I tell people, before you make that jump, get your bills down until you're homeless. I was living at a homeless level.
Yeah, I had down. That I had been homesteading here long enough that I was like, well, we got.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
we'll be fine. Just got to pay the power bill, and even then, I just have to carry water if I don't have power. That's my worst thing, right?
Yep.
Electricity gets water up the hill to my house.
Important.
I like electricity a lot. Okay, so you had to go from a house with a yard and a condo to a tent on 30 acres.
Yes.
Was there any culture shock in that? No, it was just so perfect. I mean, literally, even going to Jack's workshop. When I went to Jack's workshop, I was literally still like the city boy. I have a big old beard, and I kind of look, scrappy, and I don't, clean up very nicely. But even went to Jack's, I was very nervous. Am I gonna fit in with all these, hippie duck farmers, survivalist people?
Yeah, and I went there and I just fit right in. I was like, oh, they don't give a crap that whatever, I got tattoos or whatever I'm wearing.
Those guys also have tattoos.
Well, yeah, that was the thing too. Yeah, one more than me. I was like, oh, you're cool. So yeah, it was just very eye opening. No culture shock. I mean, even the first. I mean, this helped probably solidify things. Right after the last visit, where I kind of shook hands with the farm owner, he was going to sell me 30 acres of his 120 acre farm. And on the way back, I stopped along the side of the road. I thought I was still in Pennsylvania, ironically, and it was at an overlook site. So it's past dusk. I pull in the overlook site. I'm just yelling. I got my girlfriend with me, and I'm screaming yeah, this is great. I'm so fucking. Oops, I'm sorry. I cursed. So happy.
That's okay. I'll warn people at the beginning.
All right, sorry, but it's true. I was so effing happy, and I'm yelling, and I'm like, all right, let's go home, and just ecstatic. And that time, as I'm leaving. Just in a regular Jeep. I didn't have any fancy sports car. It looked like a drug dealer or anything. It's state troopers came up on me and harassing me, and I didn't even see that they were Jersey state troopers. I'm like, hey man, I just found a great place in Pennsylvania. I'm trying to get the F out of Jersey. And then I'm just like, oh wait, you're a Jersey cop, man. So, it was very easy for the transition. Just even from the first time, every time I go back, it's just anxiety builds up. I get nervous. I'm like, I don't want to be near all these people. So, no, I really don't there was no shock at all. Being by myself on 30 acres and not being able to open up a beer on my front porch and having friends there in, 8 seconds, I kind of missed that. But, I bought a coffee shop. That solved that problem. I could go there whenever I want and hang out with a lot of people. And,
well, what's interesting with that is you analyzed, what is it that I miss about that? Is it the beer on the porch with the friends, or is it the community?
It's the community. Definitely.
And so then you're like, oh, this is another way I can get community. That's why when we're talking through developing, we're in the middle of this series, right? Mm-hmm. Developing your life strategic plan. I say, write down the characteristics of what you want, not what you want. Like,
Say that again?
what you want is community and interacting with people.
Yes.
Write that down. Don't write a beer on my front porch with friends in 8 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that's how I've directed my life. I write, in my mind, sometimes even on paper, what I want, and I get it. I didn't understand how I was going to get, to fulfill the community part, in such a small community. I mean, my town has 100 people in it. The next town to have cops is like 30, 40 minutes away. But it's a great community. We're near, I'm near Penn State and between Penn State and Bucknell. So I have cities, not, college cities, a little far away from me. So, but I could go out there which I don't even do that. Like I have to go out to State College to go shopping for the cafe. I'm like, I do not want to go to the big city. And that's what I call it now.
The big city. I know we do that too here. It's like, am I going to the little one or the less little one? I gotta go to the less little one today. Sigh.
Yeah.
And then like the rule here is when somebody from the Holler neighborhood goes, we try to kind of leave them alone for the rest of the day when they get home. You went to cook, man. I know you need a break.
That's great. I gotta learn that one. That's a good one.
People don't realize that. I was talking about this at Jack's, related to how the Holler is. You come out here, it's dark at night. You don't have, like sometimes you'll hear a motorcycle on a highway far away, but you don't have any of that.
Yeah.
Car noise or sirens in the background.
Yep.
In the summer, we sometimes get them if there's a boating accident on the lake. And so when I go to the city, what I'm struck by is it's so loud.
Oh, my Lord.
Just walking into a Walmart, everything's buzzing.
Oh, yeah, the buzzing,
voices over the loudspeaker, and I'm like, people are, like, exposing themselves to this onslaught of just, buzzy inputs. They don't
pollution.
they don't realize it, and when they first come out here and don't have that, they're uncomfortable here. And then once you acclimate to it, you're like, wow, I'm not stressed out all the time because I'm not constantly being just onslaughted by noises that don't matter and having to filter that out.
Absolutely. When I was in Jersey City, the pollution, I was looking at this for a while. I was like, there's all kind of pollution in my life. There's light pollution, unless I blocked out my shades, there was, street lights in front and city lights from behind. The sky was never dark. There's noise pollution. Being on the cliff and high above, that whole area, you hear everything. It was a constant of...
That's the problem with a hillside view, is you hear everything from below.
Well, I do have that problem now. I am about a quarter mile from the road, and those Amish horse and buggies all,
Super loud, clock. Right?
No, it's amazing how beautiful it is now.
Yeah. Cool. So what... If like a lot of my listeners are just sitting there on the cusp, what advice do you have for the people listening to this who are, they're kind of either have made it or aren't making it at all, but I know one thing, they're not happy with their life the way it is. What advice do you have for them?
So there's two different types of people. There's the people that made it and the people that haven't made it yet. If you made it, you have money, quit your job, pack up everything, and do what you want. Like literally, you will work somewhere else. You can get a job. You'll have some savings. Sell your house, get rid of that mortgage. Take it, readjust money. That's pretty much an easier one. The only thing with that is you have to fear. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me to overcome this. I wanted to quit my job for years. But to actually do it, it was a better. There was fear. It was like, what am I losing versus what I'm gaining? And I don't know what I'm gaining because I'm just going by what other people tell me. So the fear thing was a big thing. To overcome that, I figured like, hey, if I quit my job, sell my house, worst case scenario, I get a job at AT&T, I'll probably get a promotion, and then I'll just, buy more real estate or, work my way up again. But the flip side of it is if it works, I am so freaking happy. And so, that's an easy one if you have money. If you don't have money, if you're in a position where like, if you're in a city or if you're somewhere, there's so much opportunity. If you really want this and if you're going to go for it, you are going to be the right candidate. Because somebody that's just like working, playing Nintendo all day, Nintendo, is that even still around?
Oh, whatever.
Showing my age.
Yeah, it's okay.
If you're making...
We had Atari when I was growing up, so I must be older than you.
No, I had Atari 64, baby, Pac-Man.
Yep.
I suck at video games, but they're fun. If you don't have the means, if you're working at a Walmart in, say, Jersey City, or an area you don't want to be, start camping. Like, I have campsites on my property. Anybody listen to these podcasts, you are welcome to camp for free. Come out, get to know the community. There are farmers that want to retire. They don't want to sell their farm. They don't want it to go to a developer or an Amish. I mean, the Amish are buying up all the land around here, which is great, great for property value. But, those farmers don't want to do it anymore. They have a cheese, like, I'm talking specifically about the farmer that I bought from. He has 120 acres left, I think, and he has beef cows, about 20 to 30 maybe not even 30. No, about 20. And then 20 milking cows. He milks 9 months out of the year. Very good, clean, healthy, organic. He makes cheese. Very simple life. He goes to 2 farmers markets a week, and all his needs are met. He's living a very good life, but he doesn't want to do it forever. He wants to retire. So somebody like that, if you're a hardworking guy like myself, even that doesn't know anything about farming, he'd be willing to train you. Go out there, spend the weekends at his house, learn the trade, take it over, maybe he would maybe lease the property to you, and, give him there's so many different opportunities. There's a jeweler in town. This guy's making a lot of money. He's only one of the few jewelers in the valley. And he's retiring. He wants to sell the business. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to learn that trade. Nobody wants to do it, and it's just going to be a very successful business that disappears. He's going to sell the business, sell all the inventory, and then there's a lost opportunity for, somebody really struggling to get out here. So those positions are literally both of my neighbors. One's a neighbor at my coffee shop, one's my actual neighbor that can fulfill somebody's desire to get out here, if this is where you want to be. Anywhere you want to go, they have the same opportunities. Like Culebra, Puerto Rico, where I go, for vacations, which I'm actually trying to buy some land out there now to do more campsites. All the people there, the guys that work at the bars, they were working in a bar in Chicago, and they came out here on vacation, and they never went back. They're happy. They didn't lose much. So really beat the fear, try to get out there, experiment, get to know people, know your community, and there will be a avenue for you to fulfill your happiness. I guarantee it.
It's funny because you said, like, throughout this interview, you said a couple of interesting things, and as relates to just taking control of your life. One is that you need to just decide to do it, right?
Yep.
The other is when I asked you about, for people who haven't, who may be suffering or who may not have the monetary nest egg to do it, you said go camping. The thing about going camping is that you now know how little you really need.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, one of my big moments was when I bought a pop-up camper and went across the country and back for 3 weeks.
Nice.
And, one pot meals, you have, like, the total investment, monetarily speaking, on all of that might have been $2,000.
Yep.
And, the monetary investment on paying even $600 a month in a year for an apartment alone.
Amazing. Yep.
Covers that, right? So you could switch to a and I was living the lap of luxury because I had a pop-up camper with a heat and electricity and stuff if I could hook up. And then I quickly, like half the time, I didn't have any of that. I just had my propane stove and sleeping bag.
Yeah.
And then you go from that to backpacking where it all fits on your back and it's under $500, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it might be under $1,000, but it just depends on how nice you want to go.
Yeah.
I think we forget. We think we need all this stuff we have, but we don't.
You don't. I still don't have I kind of have running water now. I got to go up there and turn it on, things like that. But just until this, 2 months ago, zero running water. I live on top of a hill. And, half of the way up, I couldn't even drive so in the winter. So I'm, carrying water up hills. And this is from a guy that was, living in $1 million home not too long ago. And I'm happier now. I'm happier.
Yeah, happier is a good thing. Happiness is a choice. It's all a choice. And,
exactly.
And we are the other thing I thought you said that was interesting is you're the story that you tell yourself, right? You didn't say it exactly in those words, but you're like, your mind really sets the foundation, and it can go lots of different ways.
That's very true. Yeah.
And you're the story you tell yourself to become the person living in the $1 million home, which is nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. You set your life up to do that. But if the story you tell yourself is I can be happy and I can take control, then you will. I know right before my successful crowdfunding campaign, I had a talk with a friend, and I was like, all these things are going on. He's like, if you're going to be successful on this campaign, what you do is that campaign for the next 2 days, every hour, like every minute. And you focus on that, and then you keep focusing it, because if you don't, it's not going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, instead of playing Nintendo, spend the Nintendo time figuring out how can I go where I want to go.
Yeah.
What's in my way? How am I going to get over that thing? Is it just like literally give 2 weeks notice or a month's notice to get out of your apartment and move? Right. Because if you have that job at Walmart in New Jersey, and you've decided you want to go to Nevada, you probably can find an equivalent job in Nevada. You can't always in every specific community, but people who work get jobs.
Right. Yep.
That may not always be the case in our economy, but right now, people who work get jobs, especially if you bring value to your job and a good attitude.
Yeah. Even now. I mean, I still am hiring people. I have a sign up still. We always need people, which is, in the middle of this COVID crap is amazing.
Yeah, and it's hard to find people like John Willis out at SOE Tactical here in Tennessee. He basically always has job openings and can't find people who will just show up and work. That's all he wants. It's like, I have jobs that are not hard work. This is what it pays. It's not terrible. I think it's like $10 an hour or something starting. And then if you show your value, you'll get a raise there. Right. But you got to show up on time, work while you're there, and not bring a bunch of drama with you. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to find these days.
There's a lot. There's drama. All that. I had like a customer meltdown situation on a project that I've been working on, that there's a whole bunch of drama going on with my people. And I'm like, I cannot tell the customer about your drama. That's not how this works. Yeah. Yep. I have to like go with my head down saying we're going to miss the deadline. But it's like, it does not, like, all the whys in the world they don't care.
Right. Bottom line, I messed up. Yeah. Even though it's my employee that had some drama.
We dropped that ball like 4 times, not just 1 time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know. You can't push the buck on it.
You've been talking about all these things. You have camping, you have your cafe. Like, what all are you doing to build your new empire?
So the camping is especially now with COVID, is the biggest thing right now. And I just keep building. People ask me, how do I start doing campsites? And I have land, but I literally just like weed whacked some flat area, put a tent there. All right, it was only $20 a night. And then I slowly, every time they left, the people that were camping, they built fire pits and they cleaned out this area. So I just, slowly kept building those out nicer until they're where they are now. And there's still a lot of more improvement. I want to put glamping sites on there. Yeah. Yeah. I bought an old Studebaker pickup truck with an old camper on it.
Oh, cool.
For $700 on Facebook Marketplace. It'll never run again. But I'm just going to fix up the back little area and, put a queen size bed in there. $150 a night. It's the same rent I was getting in Jersey City through Airbnb. The coffee shop, there was next to my coffee shop that I bought about 3 years ago, there was a wine shop next door that went, COVID killed it. So I wanted to make sure something good went in there. And my new girlfriend now is now my partner. She and I opened up an ice cream shop. One, we didn't want anybody else going in there, or, a stupid, doctor's office or, anything that wouldn't really open up to pedestrian traffic, because we're very small town, but we're making it into like kind of like a touristy place. We have a great brewery next door and restaurants and another winery. So I wanted to make sure something good went in there, put an ice cream shop in there. Same thing across the street, my buddy's building. And these are all ways that anybody could do this. Like, if you look at what I'm doing, it's like zero money down. Like, my buddy across the street had a vacant little storefront, had a bathroom and just a box of, 300 square feet. I said, hey, I'll go in there, I'll fix it up. I'll paint the walls, rip down, make it really nice. You give me free rent. I give you sweat equity. You're getting zero anyway now. I'll always show it to somebody, and I put a secondhand store in there. I have a lot of antiques and just junk that I collect. I'm always picking through trash and stuff. And so we just, put stuff in there, and we were selling stuff in a secondhand store. And my cost of it is zero. I literally pick up the trash, put it in a retail place that I get for free, and I make a profit on it. I mean, anybody could do that. So you just, and the thing about, why I have all these different things, I'm setting them all up to be automated. Like, I have a coffee thing. You might like this one, Ingle Blend. At my coffee shop, we have our own blend of coffee from a local roaster called Ingle Blend. And I figured, hey, let me work with all the roasters in the area, have them formulate an Ingle Blend, and then I could sell it online. We do kind of like a drop shipment. I don't do anything really, except for advertise, build websites, and promote, and go to, whatever I have to do. But the back of it, the back end of it is pretty much automated. If somebody orders a bag of, let's say Hollow Roast Ingle Blend, wink, wink. I send, Nicole Sauce an email, and she sends it out to the customer. So I'm trying to set my life more to have like winters off, or be able to travel, or, really be retired. I do air quotes and retired, because I'm never going to stop working or making things or building things. So, but I want to make it where I don't have to go to work today. Like today, I have a podcast. I'll probably take the rest of the day off. Well, actually, no, I'm showing some people my homestead just as like a fun thing, but I don't have any plans.
Monetize that.
Yeah. My campsites, we offer things like, meat from the neighbors next door, and from the local cheese guy, and all kind of experiences. Homestead tour, I've done that before too. Make $20 here, make $20 there. I'm selling firewood now, and that's crazy. 50 cents a log. It's like, whoa, what? I have all these dead trees. You're gonna. It's great, You just, there's not going to be anyone. Well, maybe there will be. That's going to give me, $100,000 a year. But if I have, 5 of them giving me $25,000 a year, do the math. It's better and a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, it is a lot easier if you build it. So the risk with building your own empire is you can build it so it's not easier, or you can build it so it's easier. Like I'm at that point right now of growth where I'm like, I am kind of working all the time, and I don't want to be this way. So I'm looking at, like, I force myself to just take time off.
Or delegate.
Because if I don't do that, then I will not transition to I've automated it enough to get it done, right? And that means that I've had to figure out how to get things done more efficiently.
Yes.
It meant I had to bring an employee in, right? Which I hate employees, but there you go.
Yes.
I like this one.
Good.
It's different. It's not like me right now, but that's different stuff. I'll tell you that offline. Anyway, okay, so if listeners want to get involved with you, like support what you're doing, what do they do?
DennisAllen.com has pretty much everything. There's a tab that says side hustles. You could find those things there. If anybody wants to, coffee, I'm just starting to do that. That's a fun thing. If you're local, or if you're not local, if you want to come out here, if you want to get out of the city, or, pick my brain, email me, smile@DennisAllen.com. Just, watch my YouTube videos. One of the biggest reasons I did my YouTube channel, Dennis Allen City Boy Homesteader, was that I saw other people on YouTube, building a house or building a deck, and you have like 80 comments below. Hey, I'm a general contractor. You should use 2-8-9 nails or something like that. And I'm like, holy crap. That's where all the answers are, in the bottom of the video. So, Dennis Allen City Boy Homesteader, I have no idea what I'm doing. And in my videos, I say, hey, I need help, guys. What do you do? And people comment, and they give me suggestions, and hey, do this. And I'm so grateful for the community of people like your community, Jack's community, YouTube community, MeWe, Odyssey, all those great communities. That's how I'm learning. I'm still utilizing my inability to read a book. I'm dyslexic, and I read a book and I by like by paragraph 2, I'm like thinking of like farming or something else. So I love these communities to help me with my process. I've had people come out and help me build and design things for me or give me the right nails to use. I mean, it's so very helpful, and your community is awesome too. So thank you for all that.
Sure. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Nicole. This was awesome. I really appreciate it. And people, follow your hearts, please. Wow, what an amazing interview that was. Thank you so much, Nicole. That was awesome. You are awesome. Great talking to you. We chatted a little bit after the podcast too. Really cool lady. I'm going to go out to her homestead one day. Not sure when or why, or I mean, she has her what do you call those things when people go there? Workshops. Same thing I want to do. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, she has workshops. She has a really cool community of people over there. I don't think we talked about it on a podcast, but I know her community is very tight. They eat together. They shop together. They do a lot of cool things together. This podcast was great. We got to talk about other things that I haven't talked about on other podcasts too. So really fun. Thank you again. If anybody wants to reach out to me, please email me at smile@dennisallen.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Ingleblend.com. Buy some coffee. We'll have Hollow Roast soon. I promise. Bye-bye, y'all.